Hey YouTube, how's it going? Kevin Cleary here with just a quick recommendation video for you. I have here the Spyderco Sharpmaker. I know, triangle Sharpmaker. I just wanted to quickly go over with you why, despite the fact that I have a number of different options and despite the fact that it's not the best for every single situation, I find myself using the Sharpmaker more than my other options. And in fact, I find myself recommending it more than most other options. And really that comes down to a couple of reasons. Now, let me say it does have some limitations, so we need to be aware of those, but it also has some real pluses that largely relate to convenience. And because of that, I find myself kind of moving toward this more than most of the other options that I have available to me. So very quickly, I'll just throw it together so you can kind of see if you're completely unfamiliar. Now I've purposely set those opposite so you can see, you start out this way and then you also have the option of sharpening on the corner of those triangle rods. So anyway, the main reasons I find myself using this a lot, these are the fine stones, by the way. There are the normal stones, we could say coarse, fine. There's also an ultra fine, and there's what I'm going to call an ultra coarse, which are essentially diamond stones. So let me quickly give you sort of the rundown on why I find myself using this guy more than the other options. All right, so sorry about that. First off, it's easy to carry around. So I have this with me more of the time than I have most of the other options that I have. I do have sort of a sharpening bin, sharpening bag that I keep everything in so that if I need to, I can quickly grab the bag and I've got all my sharpening stuff and I can kind of go. This is not in there. This is actually in my EDC bag. So because this is in my EDC bag, it's on me quite often. And, if I'm even if I'm traveling, I'm visiting someone, I'm at the office, wherever I am, this is not far away from me. And so it's super easy to carry around, and therefore I've got a decent sharpener. And there's where I think is the real benefit. There are lots of sharpeners that are easy to carry around, but most of them, you're sacrificing a fair bit of utility, where this gives you a lot of utility and quite a bit of ease of use, while still being very easy to throw in a bag, throw in a backpack, whatever else, and then that way you've got it with you. Okay, so that's number one. It's really easy to carry around, so I have it with me more often than any other options. Number two, it's easy to set up. You just saw me set it up and take it apart, and you saw it didn't take long at all. So if you've got a knife that's getting a little dull, you can throw this together, take a few swipes on the Sharpmaker, and you're back up and running without, going through, getting whetstones and setting up water and it's just, my EPA is great and I use it a lot. But the setup and the process for sharpening a knife is definitely more time consuming. And so, for probably 90% of the kind of sharpening that I need to do, which is essentially, a quick touch up, I'm not reprofiling, I'm not I'm not resetting an edge. I'm just, giving it a quick touch up. The Sharpmaker works great. So easy to set up, quick to set up, and finally it's fairly easy to use because it's fixed angle. I know that if I'm holding the knife this way, I'm getting fairly close to the angle I want. Now you still need to do, unless you already know because you've sharpened that knife a lot, you still need to do your Sharpie trick where you color the edge with a Sharpie. But, even if you have to do that and you adjust your angle of attack just a teeny bit, it's not a big problem. You can fairly quickly and easily use this to get your knife sharp. All right, so those are the reasons that I find myself using it and recommending it the most. The other, I guess the one reason that I haven't really mentioned is it's fairly affordable compared especially to, a Wicked Edge or an EPA or even to a lesser extent compared to a KME. It does get close to a KME in price point once you add the diamond stones and the ultrafine stones. Okay, so what might wreck this for you? Okay, what might make this not a suitable sharpener? Well, It's not great if you're removing a lot of material. Okay, so if you're reprofiling an edge, if you have a knife that has a convex edge and you're going to change it to a V grind, if you are resetting an edge, all of those things require the removal of a little more material. And this is not ideal for that. Now with the diamond stones, yes, you can remove quite a bit of material pretty quickly, but it's as I say, it's not ideal. If I've got to do anything like that where I'm resetting an edge or I'm removing a fair bit of material, I'm going to get my Edge Pro Apex out and use it. All right, so if you do that all the time, and I'm not sure why you would, then maybe the Sharpmaker isn't for you. All right, the other option is it only has a couple of angles, which is 30 and 40. Okay, 30 is supposed to be sort of a back bevel, and then 40 is supposed to set your edge, which works for a large majority of knives, but not for all knives. Especially folding knives are usually around 20 degrees per side. However, if you have a lot of fixed blades, if you have a lot of heavy-duty survival knives, something like that, or if you have the opposite, maybe you have all kitchen knives and they're set at a super steep angle, 30 degrees inclusive or something like that, well then the Sharpmaker may not be for you if it doesn't have the appropriate angles that you need. If you're sharpening all your knives to 25 degrees per side, so it's a 50-degree inclusive angle, yeah, you're going to have to practice a little bit to do that well with a Sharpmaker, so it may not be ideal for you. You may want something that gives you the ability to move through a range of angles more quickly and more easily. And finally, it is simply plastic and ceramic rods. For what you get, I could accept the argument that it's a little bit expensive. Now, I have included an Amazon link down below. So Amazon.com, Amazon.ca is a pretty good place to get these. You can also find them on eBay. You can find them in lots of knife stores. You may even find one in Walmart. I have found Amazon to be a pretty good price point. So if you want to use that link, that's great. But it's not, there are some sort of box systems that take ceramic rods that cost a little less. Like the Lansky, I think you can pick up for $20, $30, something like that. And so, I could definitely see the argument that, hey, if I'm using the Lansky already, why would I upgrade to this? So I can certainly get that. So finally, I guess we should ask the question, should you buy one? Well, there are a couple other things that we ought to consider here. First of all, are you good about maintenance? All right, that's where the Sharpmaker is a little weak. If you really have to take off a lot of material because you really dulled your knife and have to reset the edge, then yeah, that's not ideal. If you do a lot of reprofiling, then yeah, that may not be ideal. And so for those reasons, I could see someone saying, yeah, I don't think the Sharpmaker is for me. But for most average knife users, especially those of you who are watching my channel who do a lot of folding knives, this is probably a really good option. And I will say, when I talk to people, if someone messages me, which they frequently do, and say, what's a good sharpening system? I always ask them a few questions to get answers to the questions we've been addressing here. What kind of knives are you sharpening? How often do you sharpen them? And for my channel, most people are like, yeah, I'm into folders like you. And so, yeah, I can usually recommend the Sharpmaker. Thanks for watching. I'd love to hear your discussion down below. What do you use to sharpen? Do you do freehand sharpening on stones? Do you use a Sharpmaker already? Do you use some other fixed angle system? Do you use the clamp system like a KME, or do you use something like the EPA? I'd love to have a discussion about that down in the comments section, what you like the best and why you like that. For me, I just find myself most often deferring to the Sharpmaker, and so I thought I'd make a quick video letting you guys know that that's definitely my go-to, with the other options serving as a backup. So I guess we'll call this extra content. Before I sign off, I'll say this. When I am reprofiling or when I'm sharpening a blade for someone else, if I want to be really careful, I get the EPA, the Edge Pro Apex. If I'm sharpening something large, a machete, an axe, a large fixed blade, a survival knife, then I usually use the Wicked Edge because I like the convex edge it puts on for those knives that are going to be, that I want to be a little bit tougher. There you go. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we will talk to you soon.